On this video, I'm going to give important points of what happened and how I was able to raise these broilers for the first 1 week. That is the first 7 days. Now, I want you to pay much attention and do not skip because there are a lot of points that I'm going to give out because I've gotten a lot of questions and I want to answer all the questions on this video. First, I used wood shavings. The reason why I'm using wood shavings is to cut cost. And while I was dropping the birds, if you noticed, I was placing them right inside the feeders. The essence of placing them right inside the feeders is for them to have the taste of the feed first. So if they taste the feed, they will not differentiate between feed and sawdust. But if you are at liberty and you have access to wood shavings, best, good and fine, use wood shavings. But for me, wood shavings is very expensive. So that is why I go for sawdust. Now, I've never had cases of CROD in raising birds with sawdust. Then the second point is this. During the process of unboxing the birds, I try as much as possible to look out for those that are very weak and to see if I turn them upside down, they can get up on their own. Eventually, none. All of them were able to get up on their own in less than 3 seconds. That is how to tell if your chicks are of good quality and if they can stumble over the night. If peradventure they stumble over the night, they can get up on their own without your assistance. Now, the first thing I administered to them was honey. I gave them honey because it's more or less like glucose. I don't have glucose, so I have to do with what I have, which is honey. If I had not gotten honey, maybe I would have used sugar. So any of them can do the perfect job. It must not be glucose. Now, when I administered, the first thing I did was to make sure that they drink the water within 2 hours, maximum 2 hours. So the first water I gave to the chicks was water that they can consume within 2 hours. And after they finish that water containing honey in less than 2 hours, I placed them on vitamin. Now, somebody was asking what type of vitamin I used. You can use any vitamin at all. You can use the liquid vitamin. You can use the powdered vitamin. Whatever vitamin, you can use this so-called Molavit. No problem. Any vitamin is okay. But when you are using vitamin, you just have to be careful. Now, I'll talk about vitamin later. Now, I gave them vitamin immediately after they finished drinking the honey water. And what I did in administering the vitamin is that I make sure they consume the water within 3 to 4 hours. I try as much as possible not to exceed 4 hours maximum. The reason I'm doing this is that so that the drugs will be more effective. The longer the drug stays in the brooder house, the more the heat kills it. Like the heat within the brooder house will render the medication useless if it stays too longer. Some persons will give their chicks water containing medication in the morning that will carry them till the next day morning. No, this is wrong. Because there is heat in the brooder house, you don't have to do that. Give them water at a very short time frame, between 2, 3, and 4 hours at most, so that before the water heats up, they finish it, you've given them another one. Same thing applies to feed. When you are giving them feed, don't heap the feeders because you end up wasting your feed. The best thing you are to do is light sprinkling of feed that they can consume. Once they finish it, sprinkle another one again. It will save you a lot in terms of feed wastage. If you follow through, you will notice that I just sprinkle maybe the first day 1 hand, 1.5, 2 hands, just like that. So you are not only saving feed, you are stimulating these birds or these young chicks to eat, because once you put in fresh feed, they will be eager to eat. That is just the secret of it. Now, you discover that I only had one mortality, and if you are following through the video, while I was unboxing, there was a time I said that there is one chick that was very weak. I'm trying to get it, I couldn't get it, and eventually that chick died. That is the only mortality I had. If I had seen that chick and removed it, I wouldn't have gotten any mortality. But that is how it is. Sometimes it happens. So during the period of 7 days, I only had one mortality as a result of that bird or that chicks that was very weak. Now, my medication, like I said, I gave them vitamin. The vitamin I used was Super Mibrovit vitamin, which I gave them, and they finished it within 2 to 3 hours. I gave them another one again. Between 2 to 3 hours, they finished it. I gave them another one. In the middle of the night, I was still going to give them water. Now, the second day, which is day 2, I started antibiotics. The antibiotics I used was Floxinol. I always love to use Floxinol for my brooding because it's very effective, and it has never given me issues right from when I've been using it. I don't know, but you can choose to use any vitamin. Then before I go further, let me also stress it to you that the fact that I'm using Floxinol or my vaccination program might differ from that of Mr. B or Mr. C. Everybody has their own approach. But the bottom line is that you should stick to what works for you. Now, I gave them just antibiotics, which is Floxinol, on the second day. Some school of thought will tell you that you should administer antibiotics and vitamin. But for me, the second day, I only gave them antibiotics. Now, the antibiotics I gave them, I make sure that they will consume the water within 2 to 3 hours. I didn't exceed 3 hours because I want it to be very effective. The longer it stays in the brooder house, and because of the heat, it will kill the drugs and it will render it useless. It will look as if you are giving them ordinary water. So to avoid this and for your drugs to be very effective, make sure to limit the time that the water of medication stays in the brooder house, most especially if there is heat. Now, I administer the Floxinol just for 1 day, which is the second day. The third day, I now gave them a mixture of antibiotics and vitamin. That is the Floxinol and the Super Mibrovit. That's what I gave them the third day. Then, the fourth day, I gave them the same antibiotics only. After I gave them antibiotics only, I later gave them antibiotics and vitamin again. Then, the fifth day, I gave them the same antibiotics and vitamin, that is Floxinol and Super Mibrovit. Now, the sixth day, I gave them plain water. Just plain water for the sixth day because I wanted to give them vaccine on the seventh day. This is to clear their system and to let them remain neutral. Now, I discovered that I couldn't administer the vaccine on the seventh day, so I have to push it to day 8. Now, what I did was to continue with the plain water on the seventh day. So because I'm not giving them the vaccine on that 7th day, I still continue with the plain water. So I gave them plain water for 2 days. After the 2 days, I now went on to give them the vaccine on the 8th day, which I will still upload the video. Now, after the vaccine administration, which lasted for 1 hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours, And though before I administered the vaccine, what I did was to starve them. As early as 6 a.m., I withdrew the water from the house. I withdrew the water. After I withdrew the water, they were just eating. Now, by 7 a.m., I gave them feed without water. Immediately, they started eating. After about some few minutes, I now administer the vaccine to them. Now, while I was administering the vaccine, I have to be very careful because the vaccine was in 200 doses and the birds are 100 doses. So I have to split it, which I explained in the video when I was administering the vaccine. You can look at it. Now, after I administered the vaccine, I made sure that I mix the vaccine with the water that they will consume within at most 2 hours. Because it was in the morning, I gave them the vaccine at about 7:06 or 7:07 a.m. And by 8:06 to 8:09 a.m., they finished the water, the 2 liters of water. They finished it, so I have to remove it. So this is the program or summary of what happened throughout the week from day 1 to day 7. Or let me say day 8, because I ended up giving them the vaccine on the 8th day. Now, let me tell you something. Please subscribe.